As Dorit Kemsley and Paul P.K. Kemsley continue to navigate their separation, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast member is sharing new details on her estranged husband's communication style. In The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show video above, Dorit had more to say about the 9-page email he'd sent her about finances and custody, which she'd called a marriage during season 14, episode 10. Though PK said after the fact that he didn't mean any of what he'd written, Dorit still doesn't think the way he went about things was oak. Subsequently, he said that he used a sledgehammer to crack a nut, so essentially it was empty threats or, he would never follow through. But none of it is oak, Dorit stated in the clip above. I believe PK is impulsive. He can be hot-tempered. PK has a way of saying things, like when he would throw around the word separated or divorced so easily. Turning to Bozoma St. John, Dorit declared, Boz, if that comes out of my mouth, if I say that, you better believe I mean it. And it's really difficult when you're dealing with somebody that literally afterwards can say, oh, you know what? That's nothing. He almost doesn't understand the severity of things and words sometimes, she concluded. And it's hard. Dorit Kemsley reacts to Erica Jane and Bozoma St. John's warnings after phone call with PK. During the Tuesday, February 11 episode of RHOBH, Dorit revealed that she and PK had chatted on the phone following the email, and she seemed relieved that the call had been peaceful. However, Boz and Erica Jane weren't convinced this was a good thing, and tried to urge their friend to consider filing for divorce before PK made a legal move. In the after-show video above, Dorit looked back on that moment and shared, on reflection, I thought to myself, what's wrong with me? Like, why was that not something that I took very seriously? Boz's take, Dorit didn't want to believe it. That's why you have friends, who then can see for you and say, girl, there's danger, Boz said. That wasn't the first time Boz had said that to me. Dorit explained, she was absolutely right. I was so concerned, and I didn't even know what to do. Dorit's reason for talking to PK on the phone, then, because she wanted to know what and who she was dealing with. I had to know if there was any semblance of the PK that I knew, and the only way I could know that was by picking up the phone and trying to talk to him, she stated. So, I hadn't spoken to him at this point, for a long time, and then I got that email. And then I called him, and it was a completely different person. What Dorit Kemsley hopes for her future with PK. In the end, Dorit wants to get to know every part of PK. It'll help her no matter which way the rest of their lives play out. Honestly, whether PK and I stay married or not, I really want to get to understand him better. I really try to understand only for the sheer purpose of, I want to have a good relationship with the father of my children, if I can, she said. And if we don't end up together, then I have to be able to find a way to navigate the challenging things that come with PK. And so getting to understand the way his mind works better is only gonna help. Title: The Sledgehammer and the Nut. Dorit Kemsley sat alone in her Beverly Hills mansion, the sunlight filtering through the sheer curtains of the living room, casting a soft glow on the white marble floors. She pulled her knees up to her chest, hugging them tightly, her mind racing with the chaos that had unfolded in the past few months. Her marriage to Paul P.K. Kemsley, once a symbol of glamour and stability in the public eye, was now teetering on the edge of destruction. And though she had hoped for some form of resolution, the reality of their situation was far from simple. As she reflected on the emotional roller coaster, Dorit couldn't help but feel the weight of the 9-page email PK had sent her. The words had come at her like a barrage of artillery, each sentence heavier than the last. It was a mix of threats and empty promises, a combination that was so jarring and out of place in their relationship that it felt surreal. He had written about finances, custody, and the fate of their family. Everything that had once seemed stable now felt uncertain. I never should have been put in that position, Dorit murmured to herself, the words almost lost in the air. Her hands clenched into fists as the memory of the email replayed in her mind. PK had said it was all a mistake, that he hadn't meant any of it, that he had used a sledgehammer to crack a nut. But to Dorit, the damage had already been done. She sat up, running a hand through her long platinum blonde hair. How could she have ignored the severity of his words? How could she have been so quick to dismiss what was clearly a breakdown in communication, or worse, a sign of a deeper rift? She glanced at her phone, hesitating for a moment before unlocking it and scrolling through her messages. The conversation with her close friends, Bazoma St. John and Erica Jane, replayed in her mind, the words echoing with a sense of urgency. "You need to take this seriously, Dorit," Bose had warned her during their last conversation. "This isn't just a fight. This is him testing the waters, seeing how far he can push you." Erica's voice had been equally stern. "Girl, you need to think about your future. PK's playing games, and you're stuck in the middle of it." But Dorit hadn't listened, not fully anyway. She had wanted to believe that things would improve, that PK's impulsive nature would eventually settle down, and that they could work through this rocky patch. She wanted to see the man she had once fallen in love with, the one who was charismatic, charming, and full of life. Instead, she had been faced with someone who could speak of separation and divorce so casually, as if those words didn't carry weight. "I mean it when I say it," Dorit had told Bose during one of their conversations. "If I say divorce, you better believe it." But when he says it, it's like he doesn't even understand the impact of those words. It was this inconsistency in PK's communication that frustrated her the most. He was always so sure of himself, so confident in his decisions, yet when it came to their relationship, his words often felt empty. A sledgehammer cracking a nut, as he'd put it. But for Dorit, this wasn't about a tiny problem that could be easily fixed with a heavy-handed approach. This was about something much deeper, the erosion of trust, the loss of the emotional connection that once held them together. Still, there was a part of her that missed the man she thought she knew. The PK who had made her laugh, who had supported her through the ups and downs of life in the public eye. It was this version of him that she still clung to, hoping that somehow, somewhere, he was still in there. The phone rang, and Dorit snapped out of her thoughts. She glanced at the screen. PK's name flashed in bold letters. Her heart skipped a beat. She had avoided speaking to him after the email. She had needed time, space, and clarity. But now, here he was, calling. What did he want? Taking a deep breath, Dorit pressed the green button to answer. "PK," she said, her voice steady but laced with uncertainty. "Dorit," his voice came through the line, softer than she had expected. "I just wanted to check in. How are you holding up?" There it was again, the man she once knew. The gentleness, the vulnerability. It was a side of him that had always been there but had often been overshadowed by his larger-than-life persona. "I'm fine," Dorit replied, her voice faltering for a moment before she regained her composure. "How about you?" "I've been better," PK admitted, a sigh escaping his lips. "Listen, about that email, I know I went too far. It was stupid, and I regret it. I never meant to hurt you." Dorit's heart ached. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that PK was capable of understanding the damage he had caused, that his words didn't just float in the air without consequence. But part of her couldn't shake the feeling that this was just another moment of inconsistency, another empty apology without real change behind it. "You can't just throw around words like that, PK," Dorit said, her tone soft but firm. "You can't say things that could destroy us and then act like nothing happened." PK was silent for a moment, and Dorit could almost hear the gears turning in his mind as he processed her words. Finally, he spoke. "You're right," he said quietly. "I don't always think before I speak. I get impulsive, and I don't always know how to fix things once I've messed them up." Dorit could hear the sincerity in his voice, but it didn't change the fact that his actions had consequences. Words, after all, were powerful. They could heal or hurt, And in PK's case, they had hurt. PK began, his voice faltering. I want us to be okay, Dorit. I know I've made mistakes, and I know I've hurt you, but I want to fix it. I want to understand how we can move forward. Dorit felt a lump form in her throat. She had spent so many nights wondering if this moment would ever come, if PK would ever take responsibility for the way he had treated her, for the way he had treated their family. But now that it was here, it felt bittersweet. Could she ever trust him again? Could she ever believe that he would change?